Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone. We're actually here on time.
We're here on time. We didn't have any major technical difficulties yet. Can everybody see us? Can everybody hear us okay? And once we get that confirmation, we are good to go. Good to go. So many of you here already. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. I saw we had Michelle from Australia. Ray Marie, Bonnie, Kloska. There's a couple of Marys.
Hello to the Marys.
Hello to the Marys. And Emily and Margaret.
Tammy's here. Janie's here. Emily, yep. Gail, Linda, Marianne.
Yep. Joan, Donna, Sarah, Sandy,
Valerie's here with a big yippee.
Sheila, Connie, Bonnie, Anna. Anyway, hi, everybody.
Hi. We're so happy you're all here. We're happy to be here.
Yes.
It's been a pretty good week.
Yeah.
We should say this is welcome to KnitChat. We are Knits and Pieces, and I'm Kelly. This is my friend Noelle. And this is our weekly KnitChat. This is not our regular podcast. This is where we get together with you and knit and find out what's on your needles and what's going on in your life and all the good things.
Yeah, so this week's been actually not too bad here. We actually yesterday was just the end of a long weekend. We are still in lockdown, but they did open it up a little so you could have like 5 people in the backyard. So I had some little visits with my granddaughter, so that was very nice. And we had pretty nice weather for a good part of the weekend. Was warm today, warm yesterday.
It's going to be warm tomorrow too.
That's right, Michelle, the Grandma Club. That's right, Kelly. We are the Grandma Club now.
That's right. I am the Grandma Club now. I got to see my grandbaby today.
Oh, did you? A picture?
A picture. Kendall went for an ultrasound today. So, but we have a sleepy, lazy baby. And I said, it's just because she went for her ultrasound early in the morning. And Kendall likes to sleep. And when Kendall was a baby, she liked to sleep. So I think that's why. So the technician had to leave the room, and she told Kendall to take a walk around, do a few jumping jacks in the room, wake the baby back up. And everything is good because baby was kicking and waving at some points, but then went back to sleep. So all is well, but she does have to go back for another ultrasound to get the last of the measurements that they couldn't get when baby was sleeping. So that was exciting. That was my exciting thing today. And she still wasn't allowed to take cameras into the room though. So anyway, we're super happy. Super happy. It's raining in BC.
Oh, well, actually it's not raining here, but we actually need rain.
We do. It is so
the crops
dusty.
Really need rain.
It's
so I'd be totally happy if it just rained at night.
Yeah, between the hours of 11 o'clock at night and 7 o'clock in the morning.
I could go to bed earlier than that. Anyway, yep. Susan says sleeping babies are good. Yep. They are, but they're so nice to hold when they're sleeping and quiet. But you know what? My 2 granddaughters that live close, they are 3 and 2, and they are so much fun. They're just hilarious. I actually had a little backyard visit today, and Rachel put the sprinkler on for them, and they just had a riot in the sprinkler. Do you remember doing that as a kid?
Yes.
Yes, it was so much fun.
And slip and slides too.
Yes. Yep. So.
Oh, Valerie says it's been raining for 2 weeks solid. Well, that's why it's not raining here then, Valerie. You've got all the rain. All the rain.
Mary says her garden's so dry even with the rain. Well, I think what they say now is if it rains really hard, it'll just run off. Like it's almost like they need that slow rain that soaks into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and Mary said she loves sprinklers. I know they were like so much fun, and Isla's too. And she's right up at the sprinkler, and she thought it was hilarious to have her hands on it and then let it go. The water just.
Ray Marie, we are in Southern Ontario, Canada. I don't know where you're watching us from, but we are certainly happy that you're here. So what does everybody have on needles this week? I'm still working on, I pulled this out of the car. It's been sitting in the car. So I'm still working on my other Shirley Bryan sock. Nothing.
Well, those take a while. They're long.
They do, but I'm hoping, that if I work on it during KnitChat and get my 2 rows per week done that I normally get done while I'm busy talking, that maybe they'll be ready by next winter when I need them.
Well, do you have wooden needles? Are you using wooden needles?
No, I'm using little metal ones.
I know, so am I, but I'm hoping they're not gonna click. Who am I kidding? I probably can't do 2x2 ribbing while I'm talking.
I felt really bad last week. When I went in to do the tech check afterwards, just to make sure everything sounded okay, I had a bead bracelet on that had one charm, and it kept hitting the side of my watch, which is sitting right beside my microphone, and all I could hear was click, click, click. So I apologize for that, 'cause that's annoying. That's like a ticking clock. Okay, let's catch up.
I'm going to show you what I'm making.
Okay. I love them.
This is my first sock that I finished for my baby's birthday. He's going to be 32, but he's still my baby. So I was born in Ireland, and some of my kids have been, some haven't, but they all really feel a kinship to it. So I know he'll really like these. So I just did the little shamrock pattern around the top, and then I did a braid down here that just kind of looks like a Celtic braid. And that's the Leo and Roxy basics. So the green is garden green, and of course the gray is classic gray. So
I love those socks. I love that.
So they're fun. Yeah, it was fun.
I think you should make me a pair.
Okay. When's your birthday, Kelly?
March the 12th.
No, I know that. Anyway, so I'm started on my second sock, but I bet you I won't even get a row done. Well, I might get a row done, but I might have to unpick it.
Okay, I'm going back here so I can catch up with what everybody's making. Over the Tea Top by Heidi Kermeyer. That's what Deb is working on. Valerie is on a test knit sweater jumper, fingering weight with a lace. You go, Valerie.
Yeah, yep, fingering weight, yep.
And kudos to you if you can do that in a public setting. When I do lace, I have to be alone to do lace. Yep. Noelle knows that. How long did it took me an hour and a half one day at the coffee shop to get one row done. I have to be alone for lace. I can't be talking and doing lace.
No, Sarah's doing her V-back tee. I haven't made it, Sarah, but I really liked it. So I'll let you do it first and get all the kinks out of it and let me know what to do.
So Sarah says that she's also ripped it out twice so far. So has anyone else on here made one? And tell us why you're tearing it out, Sarah. What's going on with the pattern? Linda is on her Rose City rollers. Perfect for KnitChat. Perfect for KnitChat. And Kathy is making another pair of vanilla socks, also perfect for KnitChat. Oh, Jacqueline started the farmhouse shawl. I saw that on Instagram today.
It's pretty
nice. Very nice.
Don't you work, Jacqueline? I can say that to her. She's my daughter. I liked your other socks that you got done too, Jacqueline.
Yes, I did too. Very nice.
Pretty. Susan's working on her slubby ranunculus. Oh, I want to see how that turns out because I have some of that slub yarn and I actually thought of doing a ranunculus with it.
She's on the bottom ribbing. That's the end, right? That's the end of the sweater's top down.
Yeah, except for, well, if you do short sleeves, you'd be almost done. Depends how you're going to do the sleeves.
Okay, Susan, have you shared pictures of that with us yet? Have we seen this somewhere? I don't think I've seen that this week. So have you popped a picture onto our Instagram under our KnitChat?
Yeah, KNP KnitChat 2021.
I'm looking. I have it here. There we go. KNP 2021 KnitChat.
Oh, 2021 KnitChat. Okay.
Have you popped that in there yet for us to see? Because I really want to see that too.
Yeah. And what is the slub yarn that you're using? Because I know the slub yarn that I've got, it is a fingering weight, but I'm thinking with the slubs in it, it would probably fill in nicely for the ranunculus.
Your slub is from
my slub is Full Moon Fibers.
Full Moon Fibers.
But I just wondered what Susan was using.
Okay.
Oh, Peggy, thanks. This tea is Maple Buds by Natalie V. And this yarn is Anzula Breeze. And it's 65% silk, 35% linen. And it feels amazing. And it's a lace weight. It took one skein to do the tea. The first time I've had it on this summer, and I thought, oh, I should really look at buying more yarn. So
this is the third time. Well, I shouldn't say I've seen you, but I've seen you on screen the third time this week. And it's the third time that you've not been in pink. You're a new person.
There you
You're
go.
a new person.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I'm not, because I just
Noelle
knit wrong again. Okay, let's set the knitting aside.
Elizabeth is working on Stephen West Doodler and the Cloverleaf baby blanket. Oh, baby blanket. A baby blanket. Do we have a picture of that? I haven't heard of that one. That would be nice to make for a little Irish baby, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yes, it would be, actually. The Cloverleaf.
And Anna has the vanilla is the new black
The new
socks.
black.
I like that pattern. It has that really clever heel construction.
I haven't made it yet. Oh, really? No. I've done it a couple of times. I like it. It's like a lot of stitches when you're working around the heel, but there's no picking up anywhere or.
Mm-hmm.
So it actually works out nicely.
It's a really cool look when you're done.
Yep. Margaret's doing some vanilla latte socks with the partridge heel. Oh, a star toe. I haven't done a star toe. I'll have to try that sometime. And John is sewing in the ends on a poncho. The Mama sweater. I haven't heard of that one. I'm going to have to look that one up.
So many notes. A granny square blanket for my granddaughter. There we go.
Tracy didn't notice that your watch was hitting your charm last week.
Okay, because I heard it. And I'm like, so many things to be mindful of.
I know.
Who would have thought? Because it's not for, like, I would never hear it normally, but next to the microphone, I could hear it. The Alaska hat. Oh, I like that hat pattern.
I like that hat. That's nice. And Mary's working on her Bits and Bobs blanket. I think that's one by Kay Jones of Bakery Bears. And it is a nice one. Oh, thanks, Linda. I hope he likes the socks. I'm sure he will. I think he will. Oh, well, he's getting them anyway.
The half wrap shawl. I like that too.
Have you seen that? Yeah, I like that too,
yes.
But I just don't know if I want to do all that garter stitch knitting. Garter stitch knitting is not my favorite.
No, it's not mine either. But
so
for something like this, when you just want to knit and not have to pay attention, it might be good.
Okay, so, and I apologize again, but Collins Knit, what is your first name? Because I know it's not Collins Knit. Anyways, her baby will be 32 tomorrow. That's how old my son's going to be, but not till Saturday. So they just grow up so fast. It's like crazy.
And that's your youngest? 32 is your youngest?
No. The one, Mark, will be 30 in August. He's the youngest.
Okay. Diane's working on the Aquiline shawl by Casapinka.
Have you done anything by Casapinka?
Yes.
I have not. I've got patterns favorited, but okay. I'll have to look up the one skein.
We'll have to check that one up now.
Yep. And Catherine's doing
the
Arn and Carlos Stock Yarn Teddy Bear. You're gonna have to do one of those.
I have the book that has Stock Yarn Teddy Bears. Yes.
Yep.
The tree tram tro on the front, and she posted on the hash. Yes, I saw it on there. Oh,
I'm missing everything here. Everybody's. No, this isn't the Whitmore sweater. This is Maple Buds. But I like the Whitmore sweater. I want to do the Whitmore sweater. Emily's done the V-back tee because she said she wore it today.
Okay. And did you have problems with it? I'm so far behind my own comments. I'm sorry.
I know there's everything's going by so fast here.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back to where I was.
Skip ahead. We may miss people. I'm sorry. Valerie has already split for the sleeves. So the back has no lace. So she's good.
Okay. Okay. Marianne's working on the Jaker sweater by Isabel Kramer, and she's using black Holsgarn Coast. I just pulled out my Coast. What sweater did I do in it? The Tenya. And the Coast, it's so nice. I hope you really like it, Marianne. And when you wash it, it just like softens up so much. So
I was looking at that website tonight.
Oh, are you?
Yes. I shouldn't be, though.
I already ordered. I keep putting things in my cart to order to the maximum so that like once the shipping goes up, then I take one item out and I get whatever else is still left in the basket. So. Okay, Barb's doing the America tank. Oh, Connie says she's making socks and she took a 2/16-inch class yesterday and she loves it. That's my preferred method. That's what I'm using right now. Sandy's doing the not so little nugget sweater. Oh, Janie's doing a crocheted hexagon cardigan. So you must have to put that together as you go.
I'd like to see that one too.
Yeah. Janie, so pop a picture of that in there. Oh, Linda's doing a test knit for Samba Knits, who is Beatrix Rubio. Yeah, I agree, Barb. The V-back tee is really pretty. And you can do it in a fade. And I think there's directions to do either like a 3-color fade or a 5-color fade, or you can do it in 1 color.
How have I missed this pattern altogether? I feel out of the loop.
You need to go, you should look it up. It is really nice. And I believe that you can wear it either way, with the V in the front or with the V in the back.
Okay. So I'm going to look that up. What weight of yarn do I need for that? Is it?
I think there's 2 different versions. I think the original was fingering, and I think there's a DK one out now too.
Because I did just get that DK yarn. Okay. What else do we have? Jacqueline says she can multitask. There you go.
Yeah, well, she couldn't do that when she was living at home. So, sorry, Jacqueline. Sorry. I'm talking about teenager years.
Okay, so Sarah said that she's struggling with the sizing. She said it's as if the ease is built into the schematic. So if she takes the stitch count and calculates the dimensions, I'm just going to put that on the screen instead of me trying to read it. To calculate the dimensions, it doesn't equal the measurements on the schematic.
Okay.
Okay. Has anybody else had that issue?
So Sarah, is it turning out that it's bigger than what the schematic is or smaller? Okay, so Emily says hers is too small in the sleeve and way too big in the body.
Oh, okay. Has anyone done the V-back tee where they didn't have an issue, I guess, and then maybe we can source from there, find out what they used, and if they stayed, if they were able to get gauge.
Yeah, Emily has a few comments there. She said that the short rows really made it A-line. So if she did it again, she would add decreases on the sides in the last couple of inches of the body if she did it over again.
Okay.
So I know, but it is hard. I guess it would be hard to tell because it does, like in the back. I think, yeah, you must do it with short rows because the back kind of goes down in the V.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be kind of hard to figure out stitch-wise what your overall measurement is going to be at the bottom. I haven't really looked at it as far as doing it, but
maybe that's like to keep the alignment, to keep the V, because if it was going out with the V at the back, would it be too loose? Would it kind of slip around on the shoulders?
I don't know. But Emily was saying that her sleeves were tight and the bottom was loose.
Okay.
So you'd almost think it would be the other way around, right? But I don't know. I'm going to look at it because I did really like it. Sarah says she sees people wearing it with a ton of ease, which is not really her style.
Okay.
She said if it doesn't work this time, she's switching patterns. Yeah, I know. I guess you trust if you have the correct gauge that everything else should be worked out. But it's nice when you have a schematic, though, that the measurements actually match what, like, because sometimes you'll have a schematic and you'll look at what the measurement is and you'll divide that by the number of stitches and it doesn't equal the schematic. Well, then where do you go from there when you don't really know where they're getting that particular measurement from?
Right. And Barb says that's why she likes Ravelry pages. She reads everybody's project notes before. I do that too.
I do that
too.
Actually, the sweater. No, go ahead.
I will go in and see what comments are in there, because sometimes you'll see a theme, right?
I'm trying not to move around, but I don't sit still very well.
I have to tie you to that chair. But it's true. And sometimes you'll see where there's like a consistent theme that several people are having the same issues, right?
Yep. Or I'll go and I'll kind of try and look and see if I can find someone that's about my size and have knit a sweater like in about my size, just to see what they have to say about it. So
there's not a lot of people your size.
Kelly,
you're so tiny. Are you sitting on your cushion tonight?
No, I had to actually get a lower chair. Well, that's because I don't have the computer propped up on anything. But anyways, the sweater that I'm doing right now, there were comments on Ravelry, and I'm doing quite a few modifications. I think people, okay, so it's the L cardigan, and you do it, and it's just split straight down for the front and back. So your front is going to be as high as your back, right? And then it's got a collar that goes all the way around that's about that wide. So that is kind of going to push it down. Well, I want that back shoulder seam. I want it up on my shoulders.
Right.
So I'm up the front and it's a steep, but when I'm almost up to the armholes, but I've started to decrease out this way. So my front is going to go out like this. So my back is going to end up being higher than my front. So then my shoulders should sit
right
at the right spot.
Right.
But it's, yeah. So I have to do the math to make sure I don't want it too big that it's going to fall off my shoulders, right? I want to go up, but not too big.
Yep.
And then I've also cut down. It's a really wide boxy. I cut 8 inches out of it. So then I've got to figure out if that's going to affect the number of stitches that I should pick up for the arms. Mm-hmm. Because if you're connecting the arms way down here as opposed to up here,
yes,
it's going to be a different number of stitches. So, but anyways, but Sarah said, yeah, that's what she was talking about. When you do the math and it doesn't make sense that what you come up with doesn't equal, because realistically, let's just say you've got a sweater, you're knitting it, it's 200 stitches around, and it tells you that it's 20 stitches per inch. Well, then that 200 stitches around should be 40 inches. Right?
Yes.
So you should be able to divide that out and it'd be a different measurement than what is around there. Otherwise, what good is your schematic?
Right.
Right.
For sure.
So
Michelle has to go shortly. She has a mammogram.
Oh yeah, it's morning over there.
I got my letter in the mail a couple of weeks ago. It was time.
I probably have to call my doctor because I think mine was supposed to be last year and things got canceled.
Well, I think I did already get a letter, and so this was a reminder letter that I still hadn't booked. Because when you get that letter, you're so darn eager to book that appointment, right? That's terrible. I always tell my husband that they should have that for men too, and see how they like having body parts crushed. Because I'm telling you, I don't enjoy that at all.
Well,
nobody does. Nobody does
enjoy it, but anyway, it looks like lots of people have done some Casa Pinka patterns. I'm gonna have to try one. Oh, Michelle says 6 years clear so far. Way to go, Michelle. Marianne said the place she goes for a mammogram is in a shopping mall.
I hope you treat yourself to something nice on the way out.
Sarah says, what age do you have to start getting mammograms?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't get one. I don't get one every year. Do you get one every year?
No, I don't have to get one every year. I think I'm up to is it 2 years
2 or 3 years?
No. Yes.
As long as they don't see anything in a previous, I don't know, 45, 50. I honestly can't remember.
2 times ago when I went, I made a grave mistake. It was in the summertime. So I thought, well, I'll just go straight from work. So I had a dress on. This is a little sundress, right? I get in there and they said, okay, everything from the waist up. And they handed me just a shirt. And I had to, excuse me, you need to come back. I don't have any pants. So then they had to go find me some pants. Yeah, I won't do that again. I think about it every time.
Yeah. Michelle said she had her first breast cancer at age 50. So yeah, I think that depending on your family history, someone said you might go earlier, but I think, I don't know whether I had one 45 maybe. I honestly can't remember, but I know now it's about I'm pretty sure it's about every 2 years. So.
Yeah, if you have a number of years that are good, then they will space it out for you a little bit. But there's just no pleasant way to have it done. We have a couple of places here in town. The last 2 times I think I went to the hospital. Somehow that wasn't as bad as the place I had been before, but
I think that's the only place I've ever been is to the hospital.
Oh, no. There are a couple of small clinics and I didn't like it.
No.
I just didn't like it.
It doesn't, I mean, it's not fun, but it doesn't bother me.
I think, well, okay, if you're a claustrophobic person, trust me, having yourself sandwiched in with no ability to move freely, it's not a good feeling. It's just not. And I don't like confined spaces. So Connie thinks it's around 40, but Susan says it's around 50.
And well, it might depend where you live too.
It might, yes. So Michelle says she has to do them yearly until she's 10 years clear. Well, this will be year 7, Michelle.
Yeah. So.
I often think, I'll bet it's a man that came up with the mammogram machine. A woman would have come up with a better way to do it. Less painful way. In the US, Leah says it's every year. Okay. Or 40 with a family history.
Yeah.
Barb says it's 50 in Ontario, unless a family history. Okay. Well, hopefully, no, not hopefully. I was going to say, I wonder if there are any men in here tonight knitting. And if so, I'm sure they didn't need that conversation. We don't want to scare anybody off. We're here for knitting, right?
Yes.
Oh, goodness. So we also did a podcast this weekend, and I would have had it ready. It is ready. It's ready to go up. It's all edited. It's ready to go. But since we were having this tonight, I didn't want to put it up, I guess, yesterday, because I feel that would be just so close together. And that'd be a lot of us over a 2-day span. And I didn't want the podcast to get lost, right? So I thought if I put it up and then you all tune in here tonight, I didn't want the podcast to get lost because we have some really great things to show you on there. So I think tonight's Tuesday. I think I'll put it up Thursday morning. And then that'll give everyone
a break from us.
A break. And I know that there are a lot of people that watch KnitChat after the fact too. So Valerie, you're so sweet. She says there's never too much of you two. Well, our husbands would differ.
My husband would. Pardon me?
We just lost you there for a second.
Oh, am I back?
But yes, Barb, you will get to see us twice this week. So watch for another episode going up on Thursday morning. Yeah. And I'm going to forewarn you. It's our longest episode.
We talked a lot.
It's our longest episode yet. We generally try to
we couldn't see each other.
I know. We try to keep the podcasts around an hour to an hour and 15. This one you might have to break it up, Barb, into two. It's a 2-part series. It was an hour and 38 minutes, I think it finished at. And that's really long for us.
That was long.
It was really long for us.
Wow.
So, but you know, the nice thing is you can watch part and then you can just go back to it. And then, yeah, that would work because it's long. I felt a little guilty after, and I don't know how it was so long because I thought I was actually concerned.
It's not like we had that much stuff, did we?
No. And I actually thought before we podcast, I thought, well, I feel like I'm a little short on things. It's probably going to be a short episode. So, hi, Julia.
Hi, Julia.
Julia just got here.
Barb likes the longer ones.
Well,
you'll need more than a snack, Barb. You'll need a whole meal.
You might need a meal. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you just can't help it, though.
Your tutorials are really good, Kelly.
Well, thank you.
Do more and let's get some new people knitting.
Yes.
That would be awesome.
I do. I have some other ideas. Or you know what? If you guys have ideas too for something that you want to see, my hands do, then let me know. And if I don't know how to do it, I'll find out.
You need to do the Finchley graft.
I know that was on my list.
I honestly have not. I've hardly used. What's the other one called?
The Kitchener.
The Kitchener. I've hardly used the Kitchener stitch since I learned the Finchley graft. Okay. For socks, I still use Kitchener. Obviously, the way you do it is still the way you kind of cast off if you're doing a tubular cast off, right? It's still that.
Right. Yeah.
What, knit off, purl on, or whatever the saying is. But yeah, but as far as for socks and toes, and I find that you get a cleaner edge where you don't get, because you're doing it from the inside, you don't get those little rabbit ear thingies.
Okay. So, I'll do that one next. It's been on my radar to do that. And I'll do that one next. Maybe I can get that done this weekend.
They want color work, yarn management, mattress stitch, color work. So many
mattress
people do.
Stitch. I just did mattress. I did a whole bunch of mattress stitch on the Deshane sweater that I finished.
Okay.
And I have to say, I didn't know how that was going to work out because the yarn is a chain construction. And I wondered if the mattress stitch was going to be like really clean on it. And I can't even find where I stitched it. I did a heck of a job. Pat my own back. It turned out really well. And I was surprised because I didn't think it would go that well with the chain yarn, but it's fine.
But I think like if you do mattress stitch, you could do it with a different color yarn and you wouldn't even be able to see it. Because it's taking that one stitch right away. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I like doing mattress stitch. I like doing it on a side to side seam.
On the verticals. Yes.
Yes. I don't like doing it on horizontals. Like that's like if I'm going to do a shoulder. No, if I was going to do a shoulder, I will do everything I can to make sure I can 3-needle bind off instead of having to sew it.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, I'm trying to sit still again. I'm not. Okay.
All right. Well, I will get working on some tutorials for sure then.
Valerie said she's terrified of doing it with silk yarn. Like as long as I think you don't pull too tight, like you just kind of like do a few and then kind of like cinch it up a little bit just to kind of where your stitches meet and just don't pull it too tight.
And you can always go back, and I like to like snug it back out after too. So I want to make sure it's going to actually, Beatrice is still down here. She's wearing the sweater currently. Because I had to grab a picture for the podcast and I was by myself. And so I couldn't get the picture of me wearing it. I borrowed my son's girlfriend last week to go out and get pictures of the Penny Pinafore dress that I finished sewing. And there's a building in our little town on a side street. And it's got like this brick exterior. So it kind of makes a cool backdrop for photos. And so she was nice to come out and help me. And I'm thinking, I live in this sleepy town of less than 1,000 people. I cannot believe in the 15 minutes we were there, how many people went up and down that street and were just staring at us on the side of the wall. And I'm like, dang it. Just, you want to do things and just be alone. But no, Julia, I did not use Kestrel on the Deshane. I used Godifera. I don't have it down here. But I couldn't get, I got stitch gauge. I couldn't get row gauge. So it ended up, the project was coming up a little bit shorter than gauge. So I had to do some extra repeats. And I love the sweater though.
The Godifera though, it's a chain construction similar to the Kestrel.
Yes.
Because the Kestrel is that same kind of construction. So you did use the Godifera to seam it though, right? You didn't use a different yarn.
No, I used the same. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep.
Linda says she wants to make the Deshane, but she's nervous knitting with linen. I mean, linen is fine to knit with. It's just a little harder on your hands. At least I feel. But it's like it's fine to knit with, and it'll feel amazing. You'll love the sweater after you're done it. Like anything that I've done with linen, I love the sweater after.
If you give it a good soak after you're done.
Well, it's funny because I did do a sweater in Kestrel, and when I wash it, it kind of like shrinks back up when you wash the linen. But then once you've had it on for like about an hour with your body heat and everything, it just drapes and flows and loosens right up. And it is so much nicer to wear, obviously, in the summer than anything else. It's just that much more breathable.
Do the stitches come out even? I'm not sure. Do you mean consistent, like on a stocking stitch? Are they consistent, like each stitch the same size? They were with the chain, with the Godifera. They were. I didn't have any issue with that at all. And it looks pretty much the same even after blocking. Now, I know what you mean. It really did shrink up when I took it out, and I didn't put this one. I normally, when I'm blocking a sweater, I will normally do the soak, and then I just kind of, gently squeeze the water out, and then I put it into a lingerie bag, and I will spin it out a little bit in the washing machine, and then I will lay it to dry. I wasn't sure if I should do that with this one, so I didn't, and it took a long time to dry. I know that. So I ended up putting it. Oh, the stories. I was trying to get a deadline done, right? And so I did that. I put it out on the blocking boards and I pinned it all out where I needed it. And then I went to bed because I was doing this late at night. And I got up in the morning, and it had been underneath a slow moving ceiling fan in my dining room. And it felt as wet in the morning as it did when I went to bed. So I thought, okay, here's what I'll do today. When I go to work, I'm going to take it up to the bedroom. So I put it in the bedroom, right on the bed, underneath the ceiling fan, turned on high. And then I closed the bedroom door and off I went to work. Now, one might expect that it would look like that when I got home. But when I got home, I went to go upstairs to get changed, and the bedroom door was open. And I'm like, uh-oh, why is I have 2 cats, okay? I'm like, uh-oh, why is the bedroom door open? And I go up, and sometimes upstairs, if our windows are open, it will, slam the door shut. So if it does that, we usually open it and I'll put something in front of the door. And my husband had taken the laundry basket from the dressing room and propped the door open, thinking that the door had just slammed shut. Well, the one cat, Roxy, when I go upstairs to get changed from work, she likes to run up ahead of me, jump up on the bed, and she wants me to go over and, rub her. And I went into the bedroom, and the first thing she does is take a running leap, and she lands squarely in the middle of the sweater. And of course, she was in between nail trimmings, so they were quite long. And so I carefully trying to like hold her so she doesn't like try to run from the sweater, because she was in the sweater, and I carefully got her picked out, but there were picks. So then I had to painstakingly pull everything back out. And I thought, if this is ruined, because the sweater already has enough of a story that you'll hear about on the podcast to it. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is like one more thing. It's the sweater that was doomed. And I went downstairs. So then I slammed the bedroom door shut. And I have to admit, I went down and I was fairly grumpy with my husband. I'm like, the door was closed for a reason. And he's like, well, I thought, and you know, I mean, he certainly didn't do it on purpose, but anyway, the sweater's okay. It's all good. Long story short, it's fine. Anyway,
when I do my kestrel sweater, because it seems like the linen soaks up so much water when you soak it, I do put it in the washing machine and just spin it to get the excess water out of it and then lay it out.
I just wasn't sure if I should, because this is a new to me yarn.
Yeah.
So I would do it again now. But
so, and Tracy had said that, yes, that linen is awesome for hot days. It is. I got to actually stop casting on wool sweaters and start doing the linen ones, because I do have yarn that I could use.
So Marianne did the Deshane, and she did the lace on the back too. And, you know, I thought about that, Marianne. I did. I thought about that because I enjoyed doing the lace. And aside from that, the back, it's just a back of stockinette. So, but there were some other issues.
Could you have done it? Could you have done it in the round? At least up to the armholes?
Yeah, but it's such a short space up to the armholes because it's a crop sweater. So it really wouldn't have made that much difference. I don't think, anyway. So, what else? Oh, Acme Fibers. Yes. Barb got her first order. So she bought 2 more Chagoo sets. The shorties in red and the blue.
I still have to get the blue, especially now that I'm really like knitting. Yeah, she does. I really like knitting the sleeves on the smaller circumference needles. So I've got them in the reds that goes up to 3.25, but I'm going to have to get that blue set.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So she got the sets so that she can make 9-inch circulars from a 2 millimeter all the way to a 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that I had to use, I ended up doing magic loop for that Deshane sweater sleeves. And I was enjoying not a single minute of it because I'm just not a fan of magic loop, and it's larger needles. I think they were a 6 or a 6.5. So they're loud and
it's like really in that size with that size needle, you don't even have that many stitches, and you've got to stop every time and then push your needle around. And yes.
And then you're pushing the whole sweater around, because once you make the sweater, you put the sleeves on and then you do the sleeves in the round. Yep. And I realized they were just short sleeves. I think they were 8 or 9 inches long, but you're still moving that whole sweater every single time. So Julia says you need the blue set, Noelle.
I know. I don't know why. I mean, I have no problem ordering fiber and yarn. I don't know why I just don't order the needles. Anyway, Mary says she's talking about crop sweater. She's going to knit the shifty for the shifty cal. I think that's what I'm going to do too, Mary. I've decided. Well,
I want to do both.
Decided. Yeah, I want to do both. And my linen sweaters and spin.
I may have to take the summer off work just to do a third of what I want to do.
We can have outdoor visits, Kelly. Just like
I know, right?
Yeah, so Barb says they ship quickly 8 days. I may have to look at that.
Oh, and she's getting her dye and wool from there tonight too.
Oh, they sell dye and wool too?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yes. Bare wool for dyeing. I think.
Okay. Bare wool. Okay.
Bare wool for dyeing. Yes. Have I ever knit the sleeves before the body on a top down?
No, I haven't. Because wouldn't you have to graft them together then?
Yeah, I guess you would.
I
We
mean,
did a
not that you
lot.
can't, not that you can't do that.
No,
Like you could do that.
I mean, we did a lot of, we talked about this, those sweaters in the 90s where you did the body and the sleeves
And
and then
then
you
joined
joined
it.
everything together.
Yeah.
And then, and I
But
actually
that's
like that
bottom up.
construction because then when you're done, right? There's no,
No sleeves to go back. I know, and I like it because you can do the sleeves first, and that means that that part of it's over. Then you're not
Yeah.
sitting with 4 sweaters that need sleeves.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So that's what the primrose was like that. I did the sleeves first and then joined.
There's a shifty cow come. Well, yes, there is. There's a,
Yes.
again in the podcast this week, but we talked about this on KnitChat last week too. So it's called Shift Happens, and we're getting ready to wrap up our Rising Stars Cal at the end of May. So it's 3 months, June, July, and August. We're running the Shift Happens Cal, and you can make any shifty pattern that you like. It can be what are all the shift patterns, Noelle? There's the night shift.
Yep, the night shift. That's the one that Kelly and I have both done. And then there's the shift cowl, which you've done.
Mm-hmm.
And the shift, so the night shift is done in, it's like a worsted to Aran weight. And then the shift is done in a sport weight.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the shift along, which is the hat that we both did. And it's basically a fingering weight. And then there's the shifty sweater, which I believe is a fingering to sport weight.
Okay.
I think that's it. I don't know if there's any other ones. Does anybody know if there's any other ones?
I was thinking it would be fun to do.
You could do that pattern in a sock.
Yeah, you could. But I also think it would be fun to do some fingerless mitts.
Yep.
It would adapt really well for that.
Okay, I have Jacqueline's yarn here. I have to drop it off to her, so I'll show you that. She hasn't seen it yet.
Okay. Yeah. So it's any shifty pattern that you want to do. And we thought that we'll run that over the summer months and give everybody lots of time. And oh, it's nice to see that everybody's already picking out their yarns. That's good. Hat, cowl, sweater, or shawl. Yes. Oh, very nice.
It's going to be just a really, really neutral shawl. Mm-hmm. She's doing the night shift. So I have to drop that off to her this week, maybe, or this weekend.
I've got 2 right up here behind me, but I think I'm not going to do those ones. I'm going to do the other 2 that I have. And I was actually thinking about just casting that on the weekend, but I thought, no, I'm going to wait until June. It's close. But I have to get looking through. I have some more similar yarns, kind of like those crazy yarns that we bought, right? And also the Knitwit from Gainer Homestead. I have a few colorways of that. So I wanted to see that if I have enough to do any of those in a sweater, because I really like that sweater.
Yeah, it's a cute sweater. Tracy's done it, and it looks really nice.
I think Tracy used her hand spun, didn't she?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. So, but then I'm looking through other patterns because, I need another shawl. And there's a shawl, and this one isn't in the shift along, but there's a shawl called Pressed Flowers by Amy Christophers.
Oh.
And do you know that one?
Yes.
And I love it. And it is a mosaic pattern as well. So I was looking through my yarn stash. I don't even know. I wanted to do it, and I couldn't think of what to do it in. And I was looking for, and then they have these.
Oh, did we get those in New York?
That I did. That I got at Nitty City.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the same yarn. It's just the way it's
flipped.
Yeah. So I thought I could do that and gradiate the flowers through this dark green.
That would be really pretty.
So, and this is Patagonia by
Juniper
Moon Farms. Yeah. And this is Freya Fine Hand Paints. So so I thought I could start with the cream. And since I want most of the pink in it, I could start with the cream, fade through to this dark pink, then pick up this dark pink and fade back out to the cream.
That would be beautiful.
I think that would look really nice. And, you know, who doesn't need another shawl?
I can think of one person
I don't have a green one, I don't think.
in 91 shawls. There's not a green one.
I might have a green one. I might have a green one.
I bet there is. I bet there is.
Linda says she loved the pressed flower shawl. It's on her list, which will exceed her lifetime. I really do like that one. I want to try it. So, and because it's mosaic, because really the only mosaic I've really done is a couple of different things in the shift pattern. Mm-hmm. Oh no, I didn't. I also did that one sweater, but I really like doing mosaic. It's fun and easy, and yeah.
Sarah is saying that.
Mary said the pink is back. The pink never left, Mary.
Sarah's asking about Zauberball, and yes, I think that would work. And
yes,
I know that we got these at Little Red Mitten too. These are the Schopel edition 3, and I think that would work too, right?
Yep. Julia says I need to get to 100 shawls. Okay.
No problem.
And I did give one to my mom for Mother's Day, so I only have 90 now. I am actually going to go through them once things open up again. And I usually do, like every year when our church has a bazaar, I actually make a couple and give them. But there's ones that I've made that I don't think I've worn. I'm going to pack them up and just give them away.
Hello, Miss Josie. My brother just checked in.
Oh, that
yes, he said Josie, who's my niece, wants to say hello. Hello, Miss Josie. What are you up to, little girl? My brother has a lot of fish, and he breeds them and sells them. So he has a podcast as well. It's called Just a Guy and His Fish.
Okay.
He knows a lot of fish names that I will never know. All of the Latin terminologies, or he's explaining them. It's like he's speaking in a different language.
Well, that's like my son Curtis knows all the Latin names for all the flower and tree species and shrubs because he took horticulture.
Yes.
But
yeah. Oh, so Sarah
said she did a shift cowl in edition 3 and it turned out amazing.
It would. Yeah. Because I think this is to me, that's
a sport weight, I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of really pretty colors.
Yes.
So that would work good.
Kathy's going to do the shift cowl. Yeah. And Diane says she has pressed flowers in her queue. Yeah, it is pretty. So
I'm hoping at some point this summer, when things loosen up a little bit more, maybe we could kind of get together. Some of the people that are a little more local to us.
Yeah.
And if you're participating in the knit along, maybe we could have a little shift along, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Or a little meet up. That would be fun. Outside, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Outside.
Mary says when she got the yarn that we sent her, it was so flat from the vacuum seal. I know the first time I opened a package and you cut it and it goes.
Yeah, at the post office, they always tease me about that. She's like, "What are you vacuum packing in here?" Oh, wouldn't you like to know? But I hope you liked it, Mary. I thought it was beautiful. I really liked that color. It was hard to give that color away. It was so pretty. And I think somebody else in our sock group, our year-long sock along, knit a pair of socks in that colorway, Mary. You could go in there and look and see what they look like knit up. It was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It was Rose Hill yarns, and it was a gray and a mint. Very pretty.
I know. There's just so many things to knit and so many pretty yarns and just not enough time.
Donna has to head out. Thanks for checking in, Donna.
Yeah, thanks, Donna. So Valerie says with top-down sweaters, when she splits for the sleeve, then she does the sleeves. and then finishes the body. That's that. Well, I do that sometimes if I think I'm not going to have enough yarn, or if I'm going to be short of yarn, because I do the sleeves the length I want them. And then I use the remainder of the yarn and make the body as long as I can with what I've got left. And that's when we were talking about the other day too, when we were saying how it's nice to, like I've been using the heel flap and gusset or a short row heel so that, when you're done the sock, you're done the sock. So when I was doing this, after I got to about here past where I was going to split for the heel, I went back, did the heel, and then finished the sock. And you know what? I think I like doing that a lot better.
I just did that this weekend too, and I've never done that. I never do that. I always finish it and then I go back and I do the heel. But the socks that I was working on, actually I used a 2.5 because it was color work sock. So it said to go up a little bit. And then I used a 2.25 to do the cuff, the toe, and the heel. So I had the sock knit and I thought, well, I'm just going to go back and pick up that heel and do that. And then I went in and finished. And it was kind of nice that when I was done, I was done.
Yep.
No going back, right?
Yep.
But this is something, this is something else I was talking about over the last couple of weeks, I think on KnitChat. It's my sock ruler. And so I bought this on an Etsy shop, and the Etsy shop was in the UK. So some of the measurements on here are UK measurements, but I still think it works fine for me. So it does have both, you can have inches, inches or centimeters. And then also they've got the sizes in European sizes and centimeters on the one. And then on the inch side, they have the sizes and then how many inches for the foot, which is useful if you're knitting like some socks for somebody else, that's not your own. And then there's lots of little cool things. So they've got these little holes here that if you've lost some of the packages or whatnot for your needles, or you've wore them off from knitting, then you can check out your sizing on there. And they even have a little Kitchener stitch logo on here too. And it's from a nice quality wood, and it's well varathane too. So I've used this. I won't say I use it a lot, but if I'm doing toe up socks, so it works out great because you can just slide it on and find out how far you are. So I just thought I would show that because I do keep it nearby when I'm working on socks, and I do like that.
Kathy was asking if everybody's seen Hohi's new long striped cardigan.
I haven't seen the new one yet. No. Is it nice?
It's long. It's not my style of sweater. I mean, it was nice. It just it goes down to Hohi's knees.
Okay.
So it's long.
I like a long cardigan, but I don't know if I'm in it to knit it.
Yeah.
I like a long cardigan. I'm willing to buy it. I don't know that I would be in it to knit it. That's a lot. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of yarn. I don't know.
It was nice, but if I'm going to do a long cardigan, and I probably am going to, I'm going to do the one Tracy did, the Girlfriend's cardigan.
I like that one.
I would do that one.
Yeah, I do like that one. I do agree with you, Sarah. I think Hohi's patterns are fantastic.
Yes, very well written.
Really well written. The price point, you can't beat her price point. She keeps her patterns so reasonable. And there's good support if you're stuck. Yep. But they are well written, and they have good tips on there as well if you need some help. So
Sarah said she did the afterthought heel on her husband's socks and they fit perfectly. So that's good. She did one rookie mistake by putting the heel in the middle of a stripe, so it ended up with a tiny stripe on either side of the heel. Depends if you like that or not, right?
Yep.
So, and I mean, you can, right? If you're going down, if you're going top down, you can decide kind of where you're going to put it, right? Because you can adjust that length of your sock. You just really can't adjust the foot length. The foot length's got to be the length for the person that you're knitting it for. But you can adjust the length of the leg. So then If you're going top down, you can kind of have a little bit more flexibility in where you're going to put that heel.
Yep. And Valerie, you can wear whatever you want. She thinks her hips are big enough without horizontal. I have hips. I have big hips. I wear horizontal stripes. Wear what you like. Wear what makes you happy. You're going to look beautiful in any of it.
Yeah. I just know that length of a cardigan down to my knees is not something I'm going to wear. And I mean, I know you can adjust it. It doesn't have to be made that long.
Mm-hmm.
So.
What else?
Okay, so Annette wanted to know, how many stitches do you have in your socks when working with 9-inch? The smallest that I've done with 9-inch is 64. Do you do 60? The
smallest that I've done is 60, and I'm forcing the stitches. That was not enjoyable.
Okay.
She said that she's done as small as 52 stitches and not enough stitches. I will agree. That would not be enough. Like I said, with 60, I feel like I'm working too hard to get the stitches around the needle. So that's probably where I would bump back up to 216 inches, because that's outside of a 9-inch. The 216s are going to be, that's my comfort level. I stated earlier, I'm not a fan of magic loop. I just feel like it's too much pushing and pulling, and I don't know. I have an easier time with 216s, but that's just my preference. I don't know, but I do find it's just too much work. If I have to constantly work the stitches around the 9-inch, then it's not enjoyable.
When you said that you don't like magic loop for socks, I don't usually do like the body of my socks on 9-inch, on magic loop. I do the 216s, but when I do a heel kind of like this, I like that one vertical line so you've got a double centered decrease, and that's a lot easier to do with magic loop, because you take the last stitch from the round, move it to the
slide it around.
Yes, you slide it around. So that's a lot harder to do if you're doing two circulars, right? Because you can't just slide it onto the cord and move it down. You've actually got to move the tip up, put it on, slide it down. So it's a lot easier to do. So that's why this was easy to do, because I was on my 216s till I got past where I was putting the heel, and then I took the big long 32-inch one and did the afterthought heel with the magic loop, just so I could do that particular decrease.
Mary mentions she's thinking about knitting the Melisandre by Pearlescent with that yarn. Yeah. I love those socks. That is actually, it's that pattern that I used
for your heel, right?
To do that heel. So it's the first time when I had done that pattern the first time that I had ever done a toe up with a heel flap and gusset. And the way that pattern comes together, it's magic, absolute magic. And we were talking about something the other day when we were, I know what it was. You know how we were talking about I guess it's called the forethought, afterthought. We were doing how we decide where we're going to put the heel if we're doing an afterthought heel. I was reading somebody else's, and they called it a peasant. Was it a peasant or not pheasant? It was peasant. I think it's called the peasant's heel.
Peasant heel? Okay.
And that maybe is a knitting term. So if you were looking it up and struggling to find exactly what it is that we were talking about, and you couldn't find like a forethought, afterthought heel, because I don't know if that term really exists.
No.
Somebody else that I was reading called it a peasant's heel, and it sounded exactly like what it is that we do with our afterthought heels. So.
Okay. Linda has to go. Bye, Linda. See you next week, or hear you next week.
Hear you next week. Yes.
Yeah. And Karen was saying,
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Karen was saying she had to go up to a 10-inch for 72 stitches. So when we talk about it too, it's not just how many stitches, it's what your particular tension is too.
Yes.
Right? Because I knit tighter than you do. Yes. So for me, there's absolutely no way I could do 60 stitches on a 9-inch.
No.
So,
and it depends on the yarn, because even a fingering yarn, I mean, there's heavy fingering and light fingering. And so it's definitely going to depend on that as well. So Deborah was thinking of doing the cowl in a fingering held double. Would that work? Yes. A light fingering, maybe.
Yeah.
Because the thing about the cowl, like if it were the shawl, I would say go for it, because the shawl is not going to matter what size. But with that cowl, so the way it ends up working is you have a piece that goes like this, which is the width of your neck, and then it comes down to sit on your shoulders, and then there's like a triangle that comes down to the front. For a cowl, like I wouldn't want this part here to be so loose and sloppy. And sometimes even with that cowl, what I find that I do is I actually, excuse me, I put a pin in it to keep it snug. I don't know what it is, but when I get down here, I always get coughing.
Yeah, that's the thing about, because the cowl does have like a neck circumference, right? Whereas the shawl, it doesn't really matter. It's however big it is. But for the cowl, you want to be careful that you don't end up with it too wide around your neck, or it's going to like drape down around here instead of sitting properly on your shoulders. So now Peggy says she can knit 56 stitches on a 9-inch. So again, it just depends on and the thing is, if we were using a different weight yarn, you could probably use it on you could probably do a sport weight, like on a 9-inch. So everybody's knitting tension is different. And I just know that 60 stitches is too few stitches for me on a 9-inch circular.
Mm-hmm.
So Annette said she was doing just plain vanilla socks, but the stitch count has to be 52 or they fall off her foot. 52, yeah, that's getting pretty small to try and fit it around a 9-inch circular. Now, someone was saying back, one of the companies does have an 8-inch, don't they?
Yes, but we've covered this before. They have an 8-inch, but
they don't have 2.25.
Isn't it Addie? They come in a 2.25. I think.
Well, I know Addie didn't have the 2.25 in the ones that have the longer and shorter tip.
Okay.
But I don't know about the 8-inch.
Okay.
So
an 8-inch would start to get pretty tight.
Yeah. Like tiny.
Yeah, a tiny circumference. I mean, that's pretty small right there.
Right, because you have to have enough cable to at least give you the flexibility to be able to move the things around in a circle, right?
Yeah, because these tips, as they are only 2 inches, right? I have a sock ruler. I can measure.
There you go.
Well, they're not even quite. Okay, yeah, they are. They're 2. So they're 2-inch tips. So to go to an 8-inch circumference, I feel like the tips would probably go down to 1 and 3/4 inches.
Yeah.
And it depends on how you hold the needles too, right? Like some people will just never like these small needles, but I don't mind them. So
Emily's got to put the kids to bed. Good night, Emily.
Good night,
Say good night to your kids.
Mary said that the 9-inch circulars hurt her wrist for tendinitis too much. So she's going to try the 2/16s. I
like the 2/16.
Yeah, I do too. I think that's a really comfortable way to maneuver through a sock. And then the nice thing about the 2/16s is if you are doing a heel flap and gusset, you've got lots of room to get all of those stitches onto that 1/16-inch, right?
Yep. But the 2/16s would not be my go-to for doing a colorwork sock, though.
No.
Then I do a 9-inch for sure.
You might end up getting that little bit of a ridge on the side, depending on how you. That's probably okay. If I had to do 2/16s, I would probably do those inside out, and that might help. But I still think you could possibly get that ridge.
Yep. So Tracy says I think she's talking about the 8-inch, that they must work. And then you'd be holding fabric more than a needle. Right? Because you'd only have that small.
Yes. But okay, so like when I'm holding them anyway, I don't know if you can see that, but like my thumb is right up to the tops of the needles anyway. So I'm holding all sorts of fabric right? Like that's where it's resting in my hand.
I know when I use the small though, I'm holding like right like this, right at the tip of the needle.
Right, but I am too. Like that's why you enjoy it, because you're right up at the tip of the needle, right?
But that's because I change and do continental, because I can't hold it the same way that I can't hold the 9-inch the same way that I hold this, because I've got part of this in my in between my thumb and my pointer finger.
Ah, okay.
Right. So I can't hold the 9-inch like that, or an 8-inch. I can't hold it like that. So,
yeah. And this, isn't it funny how we all knit differently?
mm-hmm.
Yeah, because for me, it's very comfortable just to have my fingers right up at the top of the needle. But I don't knit that close to the tips if I'm knitting on full-size needles.
Right. So. But I do. So it all depends. It all depends. Everybody likes different styles. You know, you do whatever works for you.
Mary, yes. If you're going to do color work and you can't a color work sock and you can't get the color work sock on here comfortably for you, I would recommend that you go back to DPNs and you do 3, because then you're not going to get that laddering that you would get from the 2/16s. Or that's what I would suggest anyway.
Thanks, Lillian. So Nikki says that she magic loops all of her socks and sleeves, but she's so used to it that she doesn't even notice that she's turned to work to the other side. And I do have to sometimes, when I'm doing magic loop on a sleeve, remember that you can kind of just go back and forth instead of having to pick up and turn the whole sweater around. But yes. I'm always doing whatever I can, especially if I have to do helical knitting, to not get my yarns twisted.
And that's where that would be harder on a magic loop than working on a smaller circumference, because helical knitting on a smaller circumference, so that all of your stitches can be on one loop, are going to be, it's the super easy way to go.
Yep. Yeah, because it's fine when I'm doing the body of a sweater when you've got the full needle full.
Yes.
But when you're doing the magic loop, then I find I get the yarns tangled.
Hi, Jess. She finally caught some of it Tuesday Night Live. Okay, so flexi flips are between those. I haven't used those yet.
I haven't tried them. I tried them once just at a show, and it was only for like one row, so I couldn't really tell.
Okay.
From that whether I would like them or not. Like I used to do socks all the time on DPNs, and I always used 3 to hold the stitches and 1 to knit with.
That's
because how I when we started doing it, the needles only came in sets of 4. They didn't come in sets of 5 like they do now. So I found the one time I was doing a test knit for somebody, and it said specifically to do them on double points and to cast it onto 4 needles. So I thought, fine, I'm going to do it. Well, I didn't like it, but I struggled through it and I did the whole sock. And then I did the second sock on the 3. Mm-hmm. The size difference, there must have been about 2 size difference in the socks. Then, and I don't know what difference that made going from 3 with the stitches to 4 with the stitches, but I just didn't like it. Oh, Sarah says she loves them. She said they took a while to get used to. And she used DPN. Well, then I probably would like them if she was a DPN with the stitches on your 3 needles.
And then, okay, so it's helical, not helico. And I think it's also explained as helix knitting, HELIX. But I've kind of Googled that too, just so that I could be a little bit clearer on how to explain it to somebody else. And when I was trying to find something on it, I couldn't actually find too much in the way of why we use helical knitting for a sweater. But the concept is so that you're if you're having 2 yarns and you want to blend the yarns just to avoid, especially if it's not a commercially dyed yarn, so that you're not going to see any difference of where you leave off from one yarn and join onto the next. So you're actually using 2 skeins of yarn to knit from, and you will work up to, I use 3 stitches. I don't know. Do you use 3 as well when you do helical?
I use sometimes 3, sometimes 2, sometimes 1.
Okay.
And not always the same.
Right. So I usually use 3. So you you start with the 1, and then you, wherever you want to join the next new one. So then you slip. I'll talk about it as if there's 3 stitches, because that's the easiest way. So I'll slip 3 stitches purlwise, and then I start my new yarn. So then when you work your way back around again, and you're going to come to the one that you left behind. So then you're going to, no, I said that backwards, didn't I?
You stop 3 stitches before the other yarn.
3 stitches before the other yarn. Yeah. That's right. So you stop the new one 3 stitches before, slip the 3, pick up the yarn that you've left behind, and go around again. And then when you get back again, 3 stitches before, stop that yarn, slip 3, and pick up the other yarn. That way you're not going up you're going to move your yarn line that you're alternating is going to shift 3 stitches on every row. So you wouldn't have a defined line going down your project that shows where you are switching yarns. You're going to do it every 3 stitches. So it's eventually, the reason why it's called helix is because eventually it just keeps winding around the project. And it's a great way to do 2 yarns together and then not to be able to see the difference.
Yeah. So the reason that you do it, and like you're right, you do it with colored yarns so that you can't see like the difference in the yarns. But the reason that you don't just do it at one spot is because when you're knitting around and around, you're actually knitting in a spiral. You're not actually stacking one row and then a new row on top of that. Right? The new row is kind of going diagonally up to the start of the next row. So if you do all of those start and stops at the same place, you're going to see that kind of like stacked line. Whereas if you spread it out and you're kind of slipping the stitches before, you just kind of smooth it out so that you don't see that. Mm-hmm. So I think you notice that particular, the way the spiral goes like that, you notice that more if you're doing crochet, when you crochet around and then you're starting the next, like you're almost, unless you do that, where you go in and join and kind of start, do you know what I mean, in crochet, where you get to the end of a round, but then you have to do like another stitch before you can start up, to go across. Because if you just kept going around, it would go in a spiral.
Right.
As opposed to having rows. So, and it is, and sometimes it sounds confusing when you look at what the helical is, but really all you have to do is go in and do it. And it becomes so obvious when you do it, like where you start the new yarn. And the reason that I sometimes do, like when you asked how many stitches, if I'm doing that something, let's say it's something that's got maybe a purl stitch every once in a while, or you might be doing it when you're going across here. The reason I might not do 3 might be, okay, I'm at a purl stitch, so I don't want to include that. So I'm going to either drop before that so that I don't mess that stitch up. But it can be any number of stitches. It doesn't have to be 3. And it doesn't have to be consistently the same number of stitches every time around.
No.
So.
No. I say 3 because it's kind of a guideline, but you can ultimately do whatever you feel comfortable with, right?
Yep. So
if you're still confused and you can't find a good tutorial, let me know. I can put that together too. Because I know sometimes, I try to find things too, so that like I said, so that I can explain it more clearly and make sure that I'm using the right terminology, but I couldn't find one either when I was looking a while ago. So, and yes, that's another good reason too, Mary. It will break up pooling too, so that you can, in a sweater, like if you have a heavily variegated and sometimes, in a sock, you'll get pooling or whatever, that would break it up.
Yep.
So.
And Valerie says like single crochet, half double crochet, or double crochet at the beginning, and then the spiral will work in crochet.
Yes.
But it really is like, that's when you're working with hand-dyed yarn, there's like no way now that I wouldn't do helical to avoid that. Well, not even the pooling doesn't even bother me so much as when you get a straight line across a sweater that shows where you've switched from one skein to the next and the dye lot's different.
Yes.
And especially if you look at hand-dyed skeins, like they can be so different.
Well, they can even be different from the beginning of the skein to the end.
That's right.
The end, right within the skein, because I know there's been times where I've done a sock, like a speckle sock, for instance, and the one sock will be really speckly, but the other sock, not so much, right? Because
so you could roll two balls and alternate the really speckly end with the non-speckly end and get a more even distribution.
But sometimes you don't really know either.
No, I know.
Until you.
Yeah.
That's another good reason too, Tracy, if you're doing single row stripes so that there's no jog, because the helical will avoid any of that jog. It's smooth. Okay, what else do we have? Oh, Lisa says there is a tutorial on Fleece and Harmony.
Yeah, and someone else mentioned a tutorial for another one too.
Nitty Natty.
Nitty Natty
tutorial. Okay. So, Barb tried theirs and couldn't get it. Okay. All right. Well, maybe that's something else. I will do the Finchley graft and maybe a little sample of helical. So that's quick and easy for me to film for sure. So, Nikki, no, I didn't make this. This is a t-shirt. It was, I don't know. I don't have very many summer sweaters. So I ordered some yarn and I want to get a couple of them done. It's definitely too warm here today for me to wear
for
some of the sweaters that I have. So, but anyway, well, we're at an hour and 22.
Yes, we should.
Knitters.
That's
knitters,
right.
Crafters, crocheters, crafty people.
Well, I got a few rows done.
I got a few rows done. I should have put a mark on where I started this week.
I'm going to have to go back and check, though, that there's no... there's a mistake I got to fix. Oh, well.
So. So, as I said earlier, I'll have the podcast up on Thursday morning for you all to enjoy. I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, so get your rising stars... Your rising stars finished and get those into the finished object thread and get thinking about what you want to do for your shifty. Go and look on Ravelry, and there's so many amazing projects and colors and yarns that are used for a lot of the different shift patterns that look amazing. So, and yes, Sarah, I agree. Roxanne Richardson does do good tutorials. So.
Trying to finish out these comments. Okay. And then we'll be back here next Tuesday.
Yep. What date is next Tuesday? It's June 1st. So we can start our shift thing next Tuesday.
We can. I don't know if I trust myself to do something like that while I'm chatting, but
we could look at the yarn we're going to use.
We can look at the yarn we're going to use for sure. Yes. Yeah. I have to get some sewing done too. And I want to start looking up baby blankets because I have some nice soft cotton wool yarn coming that I wanted to do a baby blanket. And I think I want to crochet it. So
yeah. Yep.
I haven't done crochet in a while. Kind of missed that. I go through stages, right? Sarah's going to go water the garden. It's dry here too, Sarah.
Yep.
Hopefully my husband did this while I was down here. Hopefully.
Well, I'm going to go sit outside with my husband and have a glass of wine. I was going to say a glass of yarn.
Okay. Well, I'm
Okay.
thrilled that we made it here on time tonight. I'm thrilled that all
Yeah.
of you were able to join us.
Yep.
And
Thanks everybody for joining in. And the time goes by so fast.
it does. It
So
really does. And the week goes by fast too. Like it
it
just feels like
does.
we were just here the other night, but I guess that's
Like it's
because
almost
we were.
June.
I know.
So
Okay. Well, everybody have a
okay.
lovely, lovely week.
Yep.
Get
Happy
lots of
crafting.
crafting done and share your pictures. We want to see your pictures.
Yes, we want to see what you're working on. Okay. Good night,
And
everybody.
good night.